You know, we're absolutely drowning in data these days. But let me ask you, how much of it can we actually trust? Today, we're going to look at a fascinating way to build trust directly into our data systems from the ground up. Let's dive in.
So, first we've got to get our heads around the core problem. Imagine you're training an AI for a self-driving car, okay? It has to learn from millions and millions of images. But the quality of the labels on those images, this is a stop sign, that's a pedestrian. Well, that quality can be all over the place. So think about this for a second. When that car's AI sees a label, how on earth does it know if it was made by an expert or just some random person clicking boxes without really looking? I mean, how can it possibly tell what's credible when a single mistake could be, well, catastrophic? And that, right there, is the fundamental issue. A correct, super precise label is incredibly valuable. It's what teaches the car to be safe. But a wrong label? That's just noise. Actually, you know what? It's worse than noise. It's dangerous misinformation that makes it so much harder for the system to learn what actually matters. This really frames that central conflict perfectly. On one side, you've got data that gives you clarity. That's your signal, the clear stop sign label. But on the other side, you've got the noise, a label that calls it a red circle, or even worse, a go sign. The real challenge is designing a system that can actually tell the difference.
So, what's the solution here? Well, instead of trying to clean up a giant mess of data after the fact, what if? What if you built a system where trust was just part of the very foundation from day one? And this brings us to this really cool idea, designed trust. Look, this isn't some patch you slap on later. It's the deliberate, intentional process of architecting a system so that confidence is just a natural output. It's built in, not bolted on. And this is the crucial takeaway. High-quality, trustworthy data doesn't just happen by accident. No way. It comes from a system that was specifically designed to produce it, where every single rule is pushing towards creating reliable, solid information.
Okay, so that sounds good in theory, but how does it actually work? Well, this whole approach to designed trust really stands on three core pillars that all work together to check and refine information.
Let's break these down real quick. First up is reputation. If you're a contributor who consistently gets the pedestrian label right, you build a strong reputation. Simple enough, right? And that means your input naturally carries more weight. Second is staking. This is where accountability comes in. It's kind of like placing a bet that your data is correct. If you're right, you get rewarded. If you're wrong, you lose your stake. It makes sure you have real skin in the game. And finally, there's consensus. This is where multiple inputs get checked against each other over and over until a dependable, agreed-upon result finally emerges.
Now, this system isn't just about a bunch of clever rules. It's also about a really powerful collaboration. It's about combining the unique strengths of human intelligence with the sheer speed and scale of AI. And this just illustrates that partnership perfectly. A human, they can provide that nuanced judgment, like recognizing a blurry shape in the rain is actually a person holding an umbrella. The AI, meanwhile, does all the heavy lifting. It's checking for consistency across thousands of labels, verifying that the data is structured correctly. You get the best of both worlds. The real engine behind all of this, though, is a huge shift in incentives. See, most systems out there just reward volume. The more stuff you label, the more you get paid. But here, the whole model's flipped on its head. This system rewards reliability and accuracy above everything else.
So what does that really mean? It means contributors are valued for getting that one super difficult image label right, not for just blasting through 1,000 easy ones with a bunch of mistakes. It creates a culture where careful, precise work is literally the most valuable thing you can do. It's all about quality, not quantity.
All right, so what's the big payoff? When you design a system for trust right from the very beginning, you unlock some incredible value. Let's look at what that means for both the platforms using the data and the people creating it.
For that company building the self-driving car, this is an absolute game changer. They get access to a clean, reliable data set they can use with total confidence. That saves an enormous amount of time and helps prevent those potentially fatal errors.
And for the contributors, the payoff is just as huge. Their expertise in providing accurate data is finally recognized with lasting credit and real, tangible value. They're actually rewarded for making that AI safer. It is a true win-win scenario.
I love this line because it just perfectly captures the end result. When the system is built from the ground up to reward accuracy, the valuable information, the signal, it just rises to the top. And all that useless or incorrect junk, the noise, it just can't survive. It fades away all on its own. Which brings us right back to our central idea. Trust isn't something you can just sprinkle on top of a broken system and hope for the best. It has to be organic. It has to grow directly from the architecture, from the rules, and from the incentives that define the entire ecosystem.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. We've just walked through a blueprint for literally architecting trust into our data. If we can solve this foundational problem for something as messy as information, just imagine what other complex systems of collaboration could we design next. The possibilities are really, really exciting.